Listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Oh!
Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep.
What company do you keep? Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it.
Well, hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome back to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. We are so very excited that you have joined us this afternoon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as you very well know, I always start out with scripture. And the scripture for last week was, "Now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly more than what we can ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us." And this week's scripture is, "Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." And that's Isaiah 43:19. And that scripture is going to be very important as we talk about this government shutdown. You all have to have faith that God is in control and that He is doing a new thing in this season. And the new thing is our talk show. So we're happy to be here. Like we always start out just letting you know that we're going to share our individual perspectives on various topics as Sisters in Company Live.
Yes, welcome, and thank you for joining us today. Before we get started here, I'd like to ask that you pray for my family. My sister lost her son early yesterday morning.
Yes.
My nephew was 27 years old, and he passed away suddenly. And so we just ask that you keep us in your prayers, and especially pray for my sister Erica.
Yes, and I am Dr. Sharon Cradle, and I am the oldest of this dynamic duo, and I am more often than not the cool, calm, and collected sister on this panel. I will bring it to you straight, but with just a little chaser.
And you know I don't like chaser, and you know I'm Sherelle Higgins, and I'm your favorite co-host. And I took her line this time, y'all. I'm your favorite host. I'll let her have her line.
And by the way, for those of you who were listening on listenvisionlive.com, I own the rights to the intro song, "Woman, Thou Art Great," Women Sharpening Women Anthem. And just on yesterday, how appropriate, I received my copyright status for that particular CD. And so I'm so happy about that.
Great. Congratulations.
Yes. Now, we're going to add collectively a little bit of old school flair in an authentic and fresh manner to topics that we choose to talk about each week. And because we used to get so excited about having company, that's where the word company comes from in the title. When back in the day, there were things that at home you had to do to get ready for your company. And so we promised to do the same thing in terms of preparation to get ready for you every Sunday at 3 o'clock.
Absolutely. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
That is right. And just for your information, if you missed the prior two shows, they are uploaded on YouTube under Sisters in Company. So just Google, YouTube, search YouTube, Google Sisters and Company on YouTube.
There you go. There you go. That's okay. We'll work with you.
Yes.
We all need to be worked with from time to time.
Yes. Also, I want to thank everyone for the birthday wishes you sent me last week. Thank my sister and my family again for the surprise birthday little celebration we had here on the show. I was definitely surprised. Not much get by me, but that definitely got by me. And so thank you.
That's what I do best. I surprise people. I'm good at it. So I'd like to kick off Sister Chat.
Yes.
For Sister Chat, we're going to talk about, as you know, last week we ended the show talking about goals. And I said that I would help 10 people get on the path of achieving their financial wealth goals. And I had 10 people immediately step up and put their hand up and say, yes, can I be one of the 10? And so I am in the process of working with them. But here's what's important to know about financial planning. The word planning is what's important in this. You know, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is about really prioritizing how you spend your money. Now, we all have things that we just have to do in the planning process. And so, you know, we don't want to set a plan where we can't achieve our goals. We want a plan that's realistic, something that we know we can do and we can be true to. So, for example, one of the things I asked the 10 people I'm working with to prepare for our meeting next week is to really think about what are those things that are must-dos in your lifestyle. So, for example, for me, a must-do is I must get my hair done every week. I can't negotiate on that. You know, I like to look good and I like my hair to look good. And in order for me to wear a different hairstyle every week, I have to do it every week. And so that would just be one example of something that I'm just not willing to give up. And so, you know, we want to make sure that whatever plan we come up for each individual, because it's an individual plan, it's not a group plan, we make sure that we really plan out the necessary steps, and then we take progressively bigger steps so that we can start to save more money.
Yes, and we are going to take calls during this segment, so please call in at 833-202-8255, 833-202-TALK, 8255. And as Sherelle was talking about the planning, when she introduced that last week, I thought about it. I said, you know, it's so very interesting that we're talking about this with the number of deaths. And we had a girlfriend that went live that was an only child that kind of talked about, you know, trying to plan for her parents aging. And so, and not necessarily wanting to know what was in the envelope that they gave her. So if your parents or anybody give you an envelope, it is so very important for you to look in that envelope so that you can begin the planning process. And so Sherelle reached out to 10 people, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what my household has done in terms of planning for the future. Because Ira, my husband, is a veteran in the military, there's just some things that just come naturally with being in the military in terms of, you know, when they transition, it's just certain things they have to do. And when they're in the military. So some of that we were forced to do because of our situation. But later on in life, as we started to, you know, think about retirement, because time is moving so quickly, and being in a blended family particularly, Ira and I decided to set up a trust. So we did a lot of research on what a trust was, you know, what was the difference between a trust and a will. And basically, you know, the biggest difference is that the trust doesn't have to go into probate. And so when you have a will, that means that it has to go to court. You know, the lawyers have to read over it. You have to pay money. And then the judge has to make the final decision. But with a trust, that is not the case. You just go, you put everything in the trust, and you have to fund that trust. So we'll bring some people on who are more experts in that area to really, really give you some more details. So I believe, and this is what we believe in sacrificing up front so that we can live well later. People say life is short, but life can be longer than you expect. And so you have to plan for as if you're going to live a long life.
That's exactly right. It's all about planning. Our maternal grandfather is
Yes.
97 years old.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if we live to be his age,
Yes.
we definitely need to make sure that not only do we have money to support that longevity, but also make sure that we have a long-term care plan in place so that in the event we need to go somewhere for somebody to take care of us, they don't by default get all of our resources.
Right.
If you have a house, any money you have in the bank automatically goes to those facilities if you don't have a long-term care insurance plan in place. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well, because we want to make sure that our audience is prepared and is at least thinking about these important things. You know, we have children, a lot of us, and you know, what kind of condition do we want to leave our kids in? Do we want to leave our kids burdened with trying to figure out how they're going to bury us? Do we want our kids to have to do a GoFundMe account to make sure that they can give us a proper funeral service
Yes.
and burial? That's not what I want for my kids. So I want to make sure that we have a life insurance policy in place that will ease all of the stress around planning a funeral, because that is stressful enough. And if you have to add on top of that how you're going to pay for it, it's just not a good look.
Absolutely. And by no means are we experts. We're just talking about what we've done to kind of help plan for the future. And so we do ask you all to call in and participate with the conversation, because you may be doing some things that we are not aware of that will help, that's going to help your family. But insurance policies, let me just say this. And we're talking about people who have the means. I'm not, I just want to be very clear about that, because we make decisions every day about what we're going to do. And I'm going to urge you all, no more GoFundMe accounts for funerals. For those of us who have, we're educated, we are employed, we enjoy certain benefits in life, talk to someone about whole life insurance policies. Talk to someone about, short-term life insurance policies, whatever it is, a term life insurance policy,
Yes.
and make the sacrifice up front so that you don't have to worry about how you're gonna bury your loved one.
Yes.
Because it is very expensive. And we experienced that when my brother-in-law died back a couple months ago. So thank God for insurance. Thank God for it. And it's only a little bit of money every month. We can give up maybe getting our hair done once a week.
I'm not giving up getting my hair done.
Or that Starbucks coffee.
I might give up a drink, though.
Yeah, the lipstick, something to make a sacrifice for your family. And, of course, that is going to be another very specific conversation
Yes.
about our culture making sacrifices for the generations that's coming behind us. Also, take advantage of your 401ks and 403bs.
Yes,
I don't care if
IRAs.
you save $25 a pay period. That is building on something. It is the first step. Build on something.
Yes, and don't think that you need a whole lot of money to get started, because none of us starts with a whole lot of money. Most of my friends came from similar backgrounds as I did,
Yes.
where I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, although I should have been, because I'm just royalty like that.
That's right.
But, I wasn't. And so I had to figure out, with the help of some great people who took me under their wing and made sure I understood the importance. And all I could do is say thank you to them, and thank you for making sure that I paid attention, because a lot of times we get advice from people, but we don't listen.
Right.
We always think, not right now, I don't have it right now, but actually we do. Every time we go into a fast food restaurant, we have it.
Yes.
Every time we go to happy hour, we have
Yes.
it. Every time we go out to dinner, we have it.
Yes.
Every time we go to the nail salon, we have it. Every time we go to the hair salon, we have it. We have it. We just don't want to spend it on ourselves in a positive way, and something that's going to help us in the future. And so don't think you need a lot of money to get started. It's best to get started, because if not now, when?
That's exactly right. And Sherelle talked about, listening. People give us advice all the time, but depending on where we are in life, some things just make sense to us. And so
Yes.
this topic made sense to me in my early 30s. When I taught in Virginia I guess for like 9 years, and we were moving from Virginia to North Carolina. And there was a guidance counselor at the high school that I taught at that came to me and said, baby, let me just tell you, when you leave Virginia, do not take your retirement out of the state of Virginia. And I didn't really understand what she meant by that. And so fortunately, I listened. I left my retirement money in the state of Virginia, and it's still sitting there. And that was so many, many years ago, like 1995, and the money is still there. And so it is important to make sure that we are in a posture to receive and to listen. And sometimes you have to be intentional, right? If our current job is not providing enough income for us, sometimes you got to get a side hustle. I was with a friend yesterday, and she said she's Dominican. And we were talking about everything I had going on. She said, you're one of us. In other words, she was saying, you got a lot of jobs. You have a lot of ways that you're earning income. And I said, absolutely right. Because being self-employed for the most part, yes, I have to develop various ways to earn money, but all of it is connected to my purpose. And I just have to say that.
Yeah, and I read an article yesterday that talked about when our primary employment doesn't provide the level of financial resources that you think you need. It talked about it made a very good point. We have so many things that we hold on to that somebody else would treasure.
Yes.
Sell it. If you storing stuff, you probably need to sell it.
Yes.
That means you don't need it. If you have a whole, I know someone who has multiple silverware sets, and her son recently bought a house, and she was able to practically furnish his entire house. And so, if you have a lot of things that you've already spent money on, don't give it away. Go ahead and sell it, because that could be the beginning of what you need to get started on saving money.
Absolutely. And saving is so very important. And when I had a major turn in my life 3 years ago, the savings that I had is something that sustained me until that situation was resolved. And I didn't have to touch any of my retirement, none of those plans. So please, we urge you all, and someone on Facebook, and I would love for you to call in, Lisa, and talk a little bit more about this, 833-202-TALK. But she says, when you don't participate in a 401 plan, you walk away from the matching contribution.
Absolutely.
And so when you if your job offers a 401k and all you can put in is 25, guess what? They're going to match 25. So now you have $50 going in every pay period. So, and I know that people have children, and so children have to go to college, but that's a whole nother conversation in terms of planning for your children. Because one of the things that we have got to get out of the mindset of is creating a situation for our children when they come out of college that they're in debt. You see, because it's a vicious cycle. Most of us who are first generation college students, we didn't have a choice. So we had to get the debt to go to school. But when you know better, you should do better. And I just urge and challenge everyone out here who have children, who's, your young kids, please participate in your state plans. I think they're called
the 529.
529 plans. Save some money, do whatever it takes to make sure that when your child is ready to go to school, that you can help them in some way. And that is so very important, because we don't want this perpetual debt lingering over our children.
And instead of making Nike rich by buying your son $300 tennis shoes, get him the $200 pair and put that $100 in the stock market.
Yes, and that is something that I have challenged my family with. I thought about it. I don't need any more clothes, and I'm trying to even change my mindset around money, because see, God has always been good to me, and I need to have a different mindset around money. I don't need any more shoes. I don't need any more clothes, but what I do need, and I do want some stock. Because, and I'm a risk taker of the family. I will do that, and so I'm challenging my family, instead of buying each other shoes and coats and jackets. Buy one stock for a family member and kind of play around with it and learn how it all works.
That's
so that
right.
we can build some wealth, generational wealth.
Absolutely. So, that was a mouthful. 833-202-TALK. 833-202-TALK.
So the very next thing is, and why this conversation about finances is so important is because of the government shutdown.
Yes.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that government shutdown from an HR perspective, as well as from my experience with shutdowns, which we really didn't have in the public school arena. So Sherelle, talk to us a little bit about, planning for government shutdowns and just some think about so that people can be real clear about what this means for them.
This is what a government shutdown means to taxpayers. You spend a lot of money for governments to prepare to shut down. So if you think about it, the fiscal year starts October 1, and Congress never, ever, ever do their job and pass a budget. And so every time they pass what they call a short-term spending bill, which is also known as a CR, continuing resolution, it costs taxpayers millions of dollars. If Congress wait to the last minute, like they so often do, before they pass this CR, federal agencies are bringing its top, most expensive paid employees together to come up with a plan on how we're going to shut down the government. And when, instead of us doing our mission critical work, we end up doing a shutdown plan. And each time you have to do something a little bit different depending on who's in office and what they want you to do. And, and unfortunately, oftentimes federal employees are in the dark about it. They hear it on the media, but it's not being talked about in the workplace because it's taboo. It's, don't tell federal workers what's going on. It's a secret, backroom conversations are happening. However, it is costing us as taxpayers millions and millions of dollars. So just think about this. If federal workers don't show up for work on Monday, or they don't show up for work all week because we're in a shutdown, and then Congress passes a bill to say that they're going to fund the government and make it retroactive to the day that the government actually shut down, essentially what that means is federal workers have had a paid vacation on the taxpayers. And so instead of them going into the office and doing mission critical work that is so important, that the types of things that we do, it is really important. It makes this country run. And if we can't do that because we're sitting at the house waiting on them to get themselves together and pass a bill, because let me state, this doesn't impact their income. They make sure that they continue to get paid. So when we go to the polls in 2018, and I have confidence that we are going to show up at the polls. When we go to the polls, let's stop the foolishness. Let's hold these politicians accountable. They are playing around with people's livelihoods. There are millions of federal workers across this country and in other countries, not to mention our men and women in uniform out here fighting for the freedoms of this country every day. And now they don't know if they're going to be able to feed their families, because many of our military service men and women, they live below the poverty line.
A lot of people don't know that.
And
They're
a lot
not
of
aware
people
of
don't
that.
know that.
They're not aware of that.
And now they don't even know if they're going to be able to feed their families.
Yes.
And so, this is serious business right now. And while they up there trying to figure out who got the biggest what, they should be not going home. They should be up every day, all day and all night trying to figure out how they're going to get these government workers back to work. They have a vote scheduled for 1 a.m. Monday morning. Why? Why can't they come to the table now and get it done and stop this playing around? Let's get rid of these people who don't have our best interests at heart. And I'm sorry, I moved into burning my soul. Wait a minute, hold on. Okay, go ahead, Sharon, because I done moved into burning my soul. This burns my soul, because no matter what, I still got to go to work.
Right. And that is foreign to me in terms of an experience, a government shutdown, because I come from the public education school arena. And I can tell you right now, other than maybe some of your larger urban cities around the country, you're just not going to have a school shutdown. Teachers can't strike in the state of Maryland, in the state of Virginia. They cannot strike. So teachers they have to go to work. And so if the budget is not funding to give them a raise, then that process continues through collective bargaining until an agreement is made. But schools are not going to close down in our area, because we know that if children are not at school, then that has an impact on parents being able to go to work. In a lot of communities, it has an impact on whether or not a kid is going to eat or not. So the government shutdown in terms of funding to the school may impact a little bit on the Title I funding and things like that to make sure that kids are getting free and reduced meals. But it's a different ballgame, but it's all about planning. We should not be panicking when the government shuts down because we haven't done what we need to do to be prepared financially.
Absolutely. So make sure that you sock something away in case they play around with your livelihood and they decide that you don't need to feed your family while they are continuing to feed their families.
Right. And so right now we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to take some calls. So please call in and share your opinion on the topic under Sister Chat around finances. We would appreciate hearing from you. Thank you.
Listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio.
Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed the slide presentation during the break. That just gives you a little bit more information about who we are and events that are coming up. So right now we're going to take a call. We do have a caller on the line, so this will be our first attempt with our new phone system. So let's see if we can make it work. Hello, thank you for calling. How can we help you?
Hello, Soror. This is your Soror. This is Nikki King Martin.
Oh, hi, Nikki. How are you?
Hey, Sharon. How are you? First of all, congratulations on this show. This is the information that we need to hear.
Yes.
And I was the one that kept saying over and over, when we know better, we do better.
Yes.
And until this information gets shared amongst all of us, it's a matter of we sit on it, but we don't think none of these things could happen to us until it does happen. So I can't stress enough the information of having the will and the POA. As I've just put out there with the video, I've recently had not one but both parents recently diagnosed with the Alzheimer's disease.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you, it's being the only child, we have to have these things in place. We didn't anticipate this to happen, but when things do happen, we have to be prepared. not waiting till when things do happen, but it's so important to make sure that the POAs and the wheels are out there established.
Yes, Nikki, and thank you. And, thank you for sharing that information with the public, because I am a firm believer, like you just stated, that the information that we have is just not for us to hoard. It's to share with other people so that other people's paths can look different than our paths, and just making life a little easier for them. So it's a lot of information, and that's what we're here to do, and to share that. And we're praying for you as an only child, as well as your parents, because if we're blessed enough, we all have to get there, one day. And are we prepared to help our loved ones?
Yes, and for those that's joining us today, a POA is a power of attorney.
Yes, power of attorney. So thank you so much, Nikki. I appreciate you calling in.
Okay.
Hey, thank you, and God bless. Have a great day.
All right.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so we're going to move into Let's Talk About It. I know you think we were already talking about it, but I want to talk about another topic. I want to talk about work behavior and leadership. I want to talk about the importance as we are as employees, what our roles are. Because I think many employees come into the workplace thinking that the workplace is about them. Yes. And, I told you all at the first show and the second show that I have lots of sayings. And for those people who work on my team, they know what I'm about to say if they listening in. They have already said it out loud to whoever they watching with. But for those employees that are on my team, I have two requirements for everybody. One is come to work, and two is
do the work.
That's right. Now, it sounds simple when you say it out loud. Come to work and do the work. But a lot of people have challenges with either coming to work or doing the work when they get there. For some reason, employees think that we should just pay them because they showed up. Or not showed up. Just because they're on the payroll, we should just pay them and be happy.
Hopefully that's not any of you out there listening.
Yeah, let's hope not. When you go into the workplace, I had to have a conversation with one of my employees, and I told her, we don't have to put up with your attitude when you get here every day. I suggest you leave your attitude at the door, because this is the workplace. This is not your house. Mm-hmm. We don't have to put up with that. And so those are the types of things that people are afraid to address in the workplace. And we all have them colleagues that don't nobody want to talk to because they have a bad attitude. Yes. Everybody knows that they're not doing any work, and the supervisor or the manager don't want to deal with it because they are afraid of grievances, and they are afraid of EEO complaints. Well, let me just tell you how I deal with that. I'm not scared. Do what you got to do.
Yes.
File whatever you need to file. But I promise you, there is not a third party in this world who will tell you as a supervisor that you cannot expect your employees to come to work and do the work. I promise you, nobody will say to you, supervisor, you can't expect that, and you can't hold them accountable for that. Mm-hmm. Now, they're going to try to make it about everything else. Oh, she don't like me because I'm a girl. I'm like, well, I am too, in case you hadn't noticed. Oh, she don't like me because I'm black. I am too, in case you hadn't noticed. Believe me, people have done this. Oh, she don't like me because I'm old. I'm like, hell, the way my hip hurting right now, I'm old too.
And Sherelle is just really talking about something that's so key around leadership. And one of the functions of my business is executive coaching. And I can tell you that most leaders, they want to do the right thing. Most supervisors, but some of them just lack training and lack understanding of HR policies about what it is they can and cannot do. And so it is so important when you go into a leadership role that you understand your leadership role. And I talk to my students in my HR master's classes about this all the time. I have a saying that some people get promoted to a level of incompetency. Let me just say that again. Some people get promoted to a level of incompetency. Yes. So they know that they don't have this background. The job knows they don't have the background. But guess what? Because they have the technical skills, they think that they will make great leaders. And so you can move them into the position, but are you willing to train them? Are you willing to coach them to their capacity? Are you willing to mentor them? Are you willing to send them to connect with HR so that they'll understand what leadership means in the capacity of HR in terms of what you can and cannot do. So those things are so very important. And most leaders that I work with, they don't like conflict. And if you don't like conflict, then being a supervisor, then you're in the wrong business.
That's absolutely right. And it doesn't have to be conflict.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Because you the supervisor, you got to say. You don't have to be that's like a parent being in conflict with the children.
Yeah.
I heard my husband say this morning about somebody that the wife and the child was arguing. And I said to him, I've never had an argument with neither one of my children.
That's right.
And so as a supervisor, you don't have to be in conflict. Say what you mean and mean what you say. And when they don't follow the rules, you do what you got to do.
And document. And that is where we are often weak as leaders, not documenting because we make excuses about it's just too much trouble. Well, they've been here for 25 years. It really doesn't matter. If you're documenting and you understand your role and what you can and cannot do, as long as you're following the steps, like my sister said, no one can argue with you about what the right thing is to do. And also, I want to talk about leadership in terms of styles of leaders. A lot of leaders believe that they have to treat everybody the same or do the same for everybody. Now I say you treat everybody the same with kindness, when they leave your presence, if you have to have a difficult conversation with them, that they leave with dignity, their dignity intact. But in terms of, I like situational leadership, because it depends on the situation in terms of what you're going to do to manage that situation and to address whatever it is. It could be something great, that your staff is doing. It could be something that you really need to deal with. I had a client one time that told me that this particular person wanted his job, had been there for 30 years. He gets the job. They have a meeting every week at the same time, same day, in the same place, and the person decided that they were going to take their lunchtime every day on that day at the same time. And he said, there's nothing I can do about it. So we changed that situation around. Trust and believe.
It's always something you can do about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can say you're going to be at this meeting or else. And you're going to deal with the consequences of not showing up.
And I told you I'm going to give it to you, but with a little chaser.
I don't have no chaser. I'm going to need to see you, and you better be on time.
And making sure that you use your performance plans in your, I guess in the federal government, it's performance improvement plans, a PIP. And so, or whatever it's called, make sure that you're using that and that you're using progressive discipline, because every organization should have a policy around progressive discipline.
Absolutely.
And progressive discipline is to correct the behavior. That is the goal of it. But we have to start using it, understanding how it works, and making sure that your leadership team and everybody is on board with how you implement the policy.
Oh, absolutely. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Viviana, who is chimed in on Facebook all the way from Japan.
All right. And so, and because of my background with human behavior, it's two things that I believe that leaders just don't pay a lot of attention to or have enough background information on, and that's human behavior, human development, human growth and development. I think you have to understand human behavior sometimes, because what happens in the workplace, and I know we're all so busy and we just really don't have time for certain things, and that we think that when adults walk up into the building and they're in their grown bodies, that there's an expectation that they're going to act a certain way. But people tell you very quickly what they don't understand. And just because they're in these grown bodies doesn't mean that they have the capacity to understand that this is how I'm supposed to act. And so it's up to us to show them that and to teach them that instead of labeling the person, right? So we see the behavior, we label it immediately instead of going underneath to figure out, now, why would someone do something like that? And have that conversation. And oftentimes you will find that there's a lot going on in people's lives, and people have to give a message to let you know that this is going on in their lives. And before we move over to Sherelle, I want to tell this story that I heard many years ago about a supervisor in the state of New Jersey. I don't remember where exactly it was. A husband was beating his wife every day. And he would make his children sit there and watch and videotape it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this was the first guy that got maybe like 30 years for domestic violence. But anyway, she would go to work every day. And when she went to work, her supervisor, who was paying attention, would call her in. They would have a conversation, and she would note on her calendar, I saw a bruise on this day. At this time, she was crying this day and this time. So to make a long story short, when she went to court, the supervisor went in with these desk calendars with the documentation around what she saw. And that was one thing that really helped to turn that case around and to get that man in jail. So I'm just saying we have to learn to document. We have to pay attention. When our people are coming to work, they're acting a certain way, there could be a multitude of things going on, and we just have to pay attention and be concerned about it.
Absolutely. And as leaders, we have to make sure that we are capable of not only motivating ourselves, but motivating our teams. We have to be there. We have to support our teams. We have to encourage our teams. We have to give our teams autonomy to do their jobs, to be creative, to be innovative. We have to do all of that. We have to be prepared to coach, mentor. We just have to be there to listen. A lot of times my team come in, they talk to me about a whole bunch of stuff. I'd be like, you're telling me too much. They just laugh and keep on going. Or they like to come and tell me the same stuff over and over. I say, I know, let me guess, you're going to be off on Thursday. They just start laughing. I'm like, you already told me 15 times. So, but you got to, to some degree, develop personal relationships with your team. And if you don't develop those personal relationships and really get to know who your team members are, it makes it very awkward to really be able to lead them. And as a leader, an effective leader, you got to know how to step back and follow sometimes.
Oh, yes. And that is so very important because we don't know it all. And so when I hire folks, I want to hire people that's smarter than me in some areas because I don't know it all and I'm not trying to be perfect. And so I need some people on my team that's going to pick up in the areas that I'm weak in and they're strong in. And so that's so important. The other piece that's important is having some emotional intelligence because, you run into people who will challenge you physically, emotionally, and as the leader, it's never okay for you to engage in the same type of behavior. I had a situation many, many years ago where I was going in and observing a teacher. And the teacher was in a chair and would never really get up out of that chair to teach kids. And so we had the conversation over and over again. So I guess she was tired of me talking to her about the same thing, being a broken record. So before I knew it, she had rolled around her desk and was in my face. And it took everything in my power to not react. And what I did was I said to her, please move back out of my space. When she moved back, because she saw I was serious, I went on and talked to her about the expectations. And that was it. Because it could have gone a different way had I not had enough emotional intelligence about myself in terms of seeing where she was and responding to her. It could have been a bad situation. And guess who would have lost in that situation? I would have because I was the supervisor.
Yeah, that's interesting because I was terminating a lady and I worked for a law enforcement organization and they said in the pre-meeting, okay, we're going to have some agents posted outside your office just in case, the employee doesn't respond. And I said, okay, well, let me just tell you this. See, this the part with no chaser. If she come at me, I'm kicking her, you know what? And I said the word in front of them. I said, I'm just telling you. So I'm like, I ain't taking no licks. And she hit me, it's on and popping. I'm telling you right now, it's going down. But you can have the agents out there, but they going to be there to save her, not me. I ain't taking all that at work. Nowhere, anywhere. So
right, and you have to be in a mindset of protecting yourself at all times. Be in a mindset because, I'm not going to be a victim, but it is not my first inclination to want to, defend myself. I just don't want to be a victim. So I'm going to make sure I'm not in a situation or put myself in a situation to be a victim.
Absolutely. So, my favorite topic. What burns your soul? I know you think I did it earlier when I was talking about the shutdown, but that's not what was burning my soul. Sharon, what burned your soul this week?
I'm going to tell you, there was a situation, and most of you probably saw it on Facebook or Twitter or somewhere, where there was a young lady that was in a mall. I don't know what city it was. And she was on her knees. I don't normally watch those videos, but I saw this young lady on her knees. And I'm thinking to myself, in a mall area, what in the world is going on? Because normally I don't click on these videos. So I clicked on the video because I'm thinking, why is this young lady on her knees in the mall? Was she praying? What was going on? And people were standing around watching her. Well, when I clicked on the video and they turned the camera around, I saw her with this ring in her hand. She had a ring in her hand, and there was this guy standing beside the escalator, and her girlfriend standing right beside her.
Not really her friend.
Well, exactly. We're going to talk about that. Exactly. And to make a long story short, this young lady was trying to propose to the gentleman, and the gentleman, he was trying to act like she wasn't talking to him. He was trying to not embarrass her or anything. But at the end, he had to come up to her and get her up off her knees. He took the ring in the box, but never said it. And I don't know what he said, because whatever he said to her caused her to run away crying. And I'm thinking to myself, her friends are standing there. What company are you keeping? Why would your girlfriends allow that to happen? I wanted to jump through the television and just get the young lady up myself. No other women around. No one else said anything to her. I wanted to just get her up. Let me just tell you, I have a passion for women. And we are queens.
Yes.
We are helpmates, which that's a powerful role.
Yes.
We're not in the business of asking a man to marry us. Men will marry who they want to marry, right? And if it's not you, then say to yourself, okay, and keep it moving.
And he doing you a favor.
Absolutely. So that burned my soul. My heart went out to that young lady. I was thinking, how do we even get there to be so desperate as a young woman that we need this man, and we're going and she's going to, ask him to marry her. And so that's why I'm on this mission to mentor young ladies. That's why I'm on this mission to use my voice to power, to let young women know that, no, we don't have to do these things. Whoever God wants for you or don't want for you, it's going to happen. But we need to stop infusing ourselves in God's process.
Yes. And if we don't start believing in who we are and what we bring to the table, we got to have that self-confidence. We have to know that we are the prize in the relationship.
Yes.
And if you don't know that you're the prize in your relationship, you're in the wrong relationship.
No doubt.
And he should know that you are the prize in the relationship, and she should know that you are the prize in the relationship. It could be two prizes in the relationship. It's two in my relationship, but you know how I'm doing it, like a diva, doing it virtuously and amazingly.
Yes.
And so let's make sure that we uplift one another. Let's stop the negativity. Let's figure out how we embrace each other and support one another, and pass on some of that confidence. People, I often find myself in situations where people say to me, you're too confident. I'm like, and what is that?
Absolutely.
And what does that look like?
Yeah.
And okay, so are you really trying to say to me that you want some of this that I have? Or what are you really trying to say here? And then the lady had the nerve to say to me, and you wear nice shirts.
But if you're not confident and believe in yourself, the world will tear you down. My pastor kind of talked about the devil being busy and wanting to take over your mind and making you believe some things. So if you don't believe that you're beautiful, that you're smart, you're talented, that you're worthy of respect, then who else is going to believe it? And so we're supposed to have that and be able to pass it on. And as the Bible talks about, it doesn't talk about she who finds a good man. It says, a man that finds a good thing, a good wife. Thank you, Natasha, for that. So absolutely, it's out of order. And so when we see women engaging in behaviors that's out of order, we have just got to just dig deep down inside and ask God, how do we handle this? I've been in situations. I'm going to talk about the CIAA, and I know my girlfriend, Jan, is she listening? She's going to crack up.
C-I-double-A,
and I haven't been to the CIAA tournament since.
Say
it was years ago. And this guy, I guess the guy had to be like 6'3", and the young lady was probably about my height, 5'5", and he was towering over her at the club. It was a day party, towering over her, screaming and hollering at her and intimidating her, and you could just see the fear. And so I was standing there just looking around, seeing if the other men who was also looking at the situation was going to do anything. Well, nobody said anything. The next thing I know, I'm like, security, security, somebody come and help us. Because I just couldn't even sit there and watch it any longer, because I saw the aggression. I saw the energy, and I'm like, oh, I can't stand here and let this happen. I wasn't going to go and try to jump on the man. And so I'm screaming security, and everybody else is looking at me like I have lost my mind. But guess what? I probably saved somebody that day. Now, whether she went home with him or not afterwards was not even my business. My business at the time was making sure that she was protected and safe at that moment.
Let's talk about what burned my soul. I got a few things.
Yes.
It's your appearance when you come outside of the house. The whole bonnet on the hair. The pajamas out in the store, the blue, the green, the purple lipstick that match your tennis shoes burns my soul. Ladies, do not come out of the house with a bonnet on your head. That is not cute. It is unacceptable. And here's why. Most people, not me, because I'm a diva. I go to sleep like this and I wake up like this. But anyway, right. I got sidetracked. Let the main thing be the main thing. Most people some women put a bonnet on their head because they saving their hair for the next day. So when you get up the next day, it's done. Take the bonnet off. If you leaving out the house, that's what you were saving your hair for, was when you left out the house. It was not to wear the bonnet. It is not fashionable to wear the bonnets outside the house. If you are in your pajamas and you are at the Walmart, you are wrong. Do not do it. It is not cute. You never know. Women talk about they want to find a good man, but I promise you, that good man is not going to pick you out in the crowd if you got on a bonnet on your head with some blue lipstick on that match your tennis shoes and your pajamas.
And the only thing I have to say about that is the men like who they like. And so I'm not, that doesn't burn my soul.
It burns mine.
But what I will say about that is that, I have this mantra is that people are always looking up to you. People are always watching you. And so my saying is never disappoint my public. Thank you, Diane Jackson. Never disappoint my public, because you don't know who's watching you, who needs that encouragement. And so, no, I don't have to always have on makeup, but I want to at least be presentable, because I am representing my family. I'm representing God. And so when people come up to me, I don't want to I don't want to look crazy. And so I want to be able to motivate and encourage some other woman who's thinking that they can't get it together that day, that they can get it together. It just takes a few more minutes, but never disappoint your public. And I hope you can hold on to that and use that as you are going out representing your family.
And one of the things that burned my husband's soul, and he lucked up with me with this, is a woman with a ponytail. He says that just represents laziness. He said, because it doesn't take that much to wrap your hair and just pull it down in the morning. You don't need to wear a ponytail. He's just like, that's just lazy. Now, that's just his thing. Now,
right.
Of course, you could tell I don't have no ponytail. I don't even have enough hair for a ponytail most times. But even whenever I let my hair grow, I'm just not a ponytail type girl. But ladies, fix yourself up. It don't take much. And if you do it often enough, it doesn't even take a long time. You learn how to get it down real quick, fast, and in a hurry. So, ladies, do me a favor. Don't have my soul burning this week.
And also, when you look good, you feel better. We don't always have good days, but if you just comb your hair, get some fresh air, look halfway decent, it does help to change your attitude and about how you feel.
Oh, absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back to you, and we're going to close this out.
Yeah, so please call in if you have any questions after the break, 833-202-8255. See you shortly.
number one recording studio. Listen vision, listen vision. DC's number one recording studio. Listen vision. DC's number one recording studio.
Okay, we're back. So, on Thursday, January 25th, at 2900 Foxlair Drive in Woodbridge, Virginia, at 7:00 p.m., I am going to be doing a financial empowerment session, and this is going to be for the community to learn financial skills to improve their life. I am partnering with a gentleman named Carl Reynolds Jr. on this endeavor, and he had the great idea of starting in the community that he lives in.
Yes, I love
He lives in an apartment complex, and he's starting in the community in that apartment complex that he lives in. So if you are local and you can get there, please plan to attend. Also, I'm looking so fabulous today, like I always do, because you know I don't come out in my pajamas and I don't wear a bonnet, but I'm looking fabulous, extra fabulous, if that's a thing, today, because at the conclusion of the show, my husband and I are going to the 35th annual Capital Steps Performance by Cornerstones, and their motto is Hope for Tomorrow Today. And this Capital Steps performance help families in the Embry-Rucker Community Shelter who have no place to call home. So it's a fundraiser to help those that's less fortunate. So that event is in Reston, Virginia. So I'm looking forward to going and participating in that event. And then also it is January the 21st.
Yes, it is.
We have about 10 more days left. You can get your early bird tickets to the Woman Thou Art Great conference.
Yes.
And at that conference, I am your MC. I am looking forward to that. You will want to be there. It is like no
Yes.
other women's conference you have attended.
Yes.
Trust me when I tell you, you want to be there.
Yes, and so the tickets are available on eventbrite.com. It's the third annual Woman Thou Art Great Women Sharpening Women Conference. Please get your tickets, your early bird tickets, before January 31st, and please book your rooms. We were there yesterday at the hotel. It's the Marriott Conference Center and Hotel in College Park in Hyattsville, Maryland, and that's just a fabulous place. And people have started texting me and letting me know that they've heard our promotions on WHUR radio. Give a shout out to WHUR,
Yes.
which is right across the street from Listen Vision Studios. And we will be letting you know that I'm going to be on Taking It to the Streets again for WHUR, as well as some of their other programs. So thank you all. We look forward to you getting your tickets and joining us on March 24th, 2018. And for all of my other merchandise and products and everything else I do, you can just go to my website, which is listed on the site. So thank you all. Hope you enjoyed the show.
And stay connected with us on social media.
Yes.
Sisters in Company talking about it.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. We'll
Yes.
talk to you next week.
Have a blessed day.